Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Uh, all right. Today, okay. So, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can see the screen or not? I'm trying to share the screen. Can you see?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, we'll go on then. Okay, today we will discuss about Charles Fourier and his idea, his reaction to the French Revolution. Okay, with regard to how he sees the French Revolution, particularly the various slogans and the methods used by those engaged in the French Revolution. So, first of all, yeah, for us to be able to understand these issues, I would like to encourage you to read an article by Robert C. Bolus, the reaction of Charles Fourier to the French Revolution, where you get the ideas about his take on the French Revolution. So, the first and foremost, as we begin, I would like to say that Charles Fourier, although is one of those utopian socialists who believe that there is a need for social change, yet he has a bitter disagreement with the kind of methods, with the kind of slogans that the French Revolution was propagating at that point of time. So, throughout his voluminous writings of Charles Fourier, there is a sense of reaction to the French Revolution, both as a participant of this, you can say monumental, or you can say, epoch making revolution of the time. As a participant as well as an observer, Charles Fourier was concerned and he has been writing about it. So, first of all, uh, you can say that Charles Fourier uh, talk about what is called as baptism of fire. You see, in the Catholic Church, there are different ways of looking at how a person is being introduced to the church, or how a person is being taken into the church through the process of what is known as a baptism, which means you baptized, or you you take the child or the person and take him as a member of the church through a kind of ritual known as baptism. So there is baptism of fire, which means that you are baptized to the cause, you are baptized to the faith, you are baptized to your belief through that sense of determination, through that sense of struggle, through that sense of intense participation. So, therefore, Charles Fourier, revolutionary baptism of fire, at the age of 21, in many ways left him with various experiences, bitter and resentful, which means his engagement with the society through the government of Lyon, where he was drafted into the army to oppose, the besieging troops of the convention, the commanded the colonial commodities, uh, left him or made him one of those whose interest into the whole idea of patriotism, critical about the whole idea of uh, patriotism itself. So his life, you see, you can say he was constantly under danger. Frequently, he was endangered. and his worldly fortune, were irretrievably lost. As we have discussed in the last class, Charles Fourier, in fact, he almost lost everything. Although at some point of time he became rich, and then at other point of time he lost everything. So when the city of Lyon fell, he had to further endure all sorts of awful transition, where he himself had to be taken to prison, and he had to await for his, turn before the firing squad would kill all those people who were arrested during this whole process of revolution. So therefore, um, he also endured what was known as the provisionary release, where these prisoners were released. Some of them escaped, some of them rearrested, and again second release, then followed by succession before he finally attained legal acceptance of as a drafty in the army, which means you can say 17, or man, much of his life was full of uncertainty, full of revolutionary fire, determination, loss, struggle, uncertainty, and so on and so forth. So uh, as we discussed last time, he even had his experience as an army for 17 months. He had a 17 months tenure in the light cavalry, and confirmed and strengthened impression, which was deeply rooted into this whole movement. And in 1795 he was discharged, citing reasons of ill health, and also realizing that he was opposed to the revolutionary violence that was firmly fixed, that has firmly fixed his tenet of his belief and his faith, which means after Charles Fourier has seen everything, and then the authority also has seen his determination to oppose the revolution, especially the violent aspect of it, he was finally released. So therefore, even after this, the internal upheavals or the internal conflict, the war, the foreign war, had taken a toll, in the world to which Fourier actually had returned. Although he returned to society, yet he had to endure all these other crises which the revolutionary thought would have ended. So uh, uh, then you see, in the society that evolved during the French Revolution and after that, the kind of capitalism that manifested was also a vulgar in many ways, because of the display of wealth by those who have wealth. Then the moral debauchery or the immorality was a commonplace. Then something that Charles Fourier was completely against, that is intense competition and speculation, had, you see, also resulted in economic crisis. And Charles Fourier had to experience all these. So then you see, because of the French Revolution, there was the liquidation of large landed estates. There was an increase of small proprietors, and this, in many ways, made Charles Fourier to be very upset, and for which he envisaged his utopia, where he tried to experiment this in the phalanx, like we discussed yesterday, and he also desired for the union of small competing plots into large cooperative units. So therefore, as you can see, Charles Fourier was determined to bring all these small entrepreneurs, all these small investors, all the small business class, like we discussed last time, into one cooperative unit. And all these actually in many ways tormented. You see the fact that these cannot compete the large parvenu capitalist or the large corporate houses. This in many ways tormented him to believe that the new scorches had been, heaped or had been forced into civilization while the old ones had been intensified, which means that feudalism has been intensified in the form of capitalism. All these new moral aspect of display of wealth, of display of authority, of war, internal upheavals. These are what Charles Fourier believed, that they have been forced into the civilization, and it is a mixture of the old and the new measure of morality. So it was, he says that this was a miserable result of the first 5 years of revolution. So therefore, he stated, and that caused him to begin his earnest search for a better way of life than that which he had seen and which he had experienced. He wanted to change all this. He wanted to tell to the world what are the positive and the negative aspects of the French Revolution. So therefore, there is a criterion, or Charles Fourier developed a criteria for this looking at all the this aspect of revolution. 1 second, I'll charge my battery slot. Yeah, sorry for that.